Adequate notice of the February 8th, 2024 Township Committee meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of the meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, and by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: Morris County Daily Record, Star Ledger, Hanover Eagle, and by filing the same with the Township Clerk.
Roll call: Committeeman Cahill.
Here.
Committeeman Faramasca.
Here.
Committeeman Francioli.
Here.
Committeeman Mahalko.
Here.
Mayor Gallagher.
Here.
5 members in attendance.
Okay, if you would, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for our prayer, taken care of by Deputy Mayor Mike Mahalko. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, please watch over and guide this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding to help make the best decisions for our residents. Please bless our first responders and township volunteers who help keep us all safe. Also bless our township employees and residents. Lastly, please let us pray for the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces who stand vigil over us always. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please be seated. Yes. Well, we've had a few inquiries about the detail and what goes into actually creating the Hanover Township budget. And we discussed it at length with our CFO, Silvio Esposito. And Silvio's going to run through tonight a few highlights on what he actually does and what we actually have to do to deliver a budget to Hanover Township. And after Silvio's comment, I will actually let you know the authority that the governing body actually does have in our small piece of what is our discretionary spending. But Silvio, if you would take the floor and just give us an overview on typically what you do and how you prepare for our budget session, which is this coming Saturday.
Okay. Normally what happens is, as of the first of the year, all the department heads for Hanover Township submit their budget requests for their departments, as well as for capital purchases of vehicles, road improvements, things like that. We compile a book and hand it out to the committee as well as the department heads to prepare for our annual budget meeting, which we always hold on a Saturday morning. A lot of what goes into the budget, again, is the capital. There's about 2/3 of the township's employees are covered under union contracts, so really that's not even part of the budget because that's set by the contract. It's already in effect as of January 1st. But we get all the information, we put it together, and I'm just going to go by last year's numbers because they're the ones that had been already established. The overall taxes for the township were about $81.2 million, but the share of the township itself was only $18.6 million. We account for maybe 23% of your tax dollar. The rest of your tax dollar, the other 77% goes to your local schools, your regional schools, your county, and your 2 fire districts. Even though we collect all that money, it's not ours, and we're under state obligation to basically turn it over to those districts. One of the things we also have to collect, because we have to turn over the money to those districts no matter what we collect, we have to build into the budget something called the reserve for uncollected taxes. That means if a certain percentage of the township residents don't pay their taxes, we have to have a cushion because we still have to pay the schools, the county, the fire district their full amount. We do have a very good collection rate in Hanover, so any excess of that reserve for uncollected taxes goes into next year's budget as an offset to your tax rate. There are 2 guidelines we have to follow that the state puts in place. There's 2 cap laws. There's one cap law that was in effect for over 25 years. It really just doesn't have much of an effect anymore because the state implemented a 2% cap. That means normal spending for the township can't go over 2%. But there are several exceptions to that. Last year, the township went up over 2%, about 2.8, and we still had a $625,000 cushion that we could have spent. And that's because the cap allows to back out certain things like health insurance coverage, the state's obligation you have to pay for pension, any debt service you incur that increases, or any capital expenditures. So it's not really a hard 2% cap, so people will call up and say, my taxes are up more than 2%. We went up a little more than 2, and the other organizations have the exemptions as well, so everybody goes up more than 2, so your taxes never are at a 2% rate. But when we do come to the meeting, all the committee men are there, as well as the department heads, and they try to come up with a reasonable tax rate. They try to stay close to the 2%, and the 5 of them, along with our administrator, Mr. Giorgio, do the best they can to take the budgets down as much as they can so we can still operate and stay with close to the 2%. And like I said, there are certain things that are out of the committee's hands, union contracts, health insurance costs, the state's obligations we have to meet, as well as certain things like utilities. They never stay at 2%. It's just things the committee has no control of that is left there. But they've always done the best they can to keep it as close to, and sometimes even lower than the 2% increase. If the meetings are concluded, we prepare the 2 budgets for the state, the normal budget and the user-friendly budget, and everything gets introduced, and hopefully within a month after that, gets adopted.
I'm going to open it up to the floor in a minute, but Sil, I have one question. I told you I was going to ask you this because more and more there's been referendums.
Yes.
And there's a lot of information about if you borrow X amount of money, you're going to be paying back X amount of money per household based on the value of your house. How does the referendum money affect individual households? For example, there was a $44 million referendum for the high school, and I was actually told that my taxes were going to go down. I probably can't understand how that's possible, but there's a lot of good information and bad information about referendums. So if you could just give us a little bit of background on how that works
Sure.
for our residents.
The schools will normally contact me and ask for our assessed value so they can put that into their calculations. I'll compare it to something the township could do. Say we wanted to buy 5 vehicles and pave 30 roads that we didn't have the money for. For us to raise that in taxes, it might be $4 million. If we were to go to debt or a referendum, we would push that over 10, 20 years. That's how I believe the schools are saying your taxes aren't going to go up, because we're taking those expenses from 2024 and we're just extending them out. But sometimes when you start doing that, you get caught in a cycle where I did it this year, I'm going to have to do it next year or the year after that. So sometimes that savings isn't really there when you spread it out, because every year you might be doing the same thing and eating into that cushion you think you built.
Does anybody on the governing body have a question for Silvio? And Silvio, thank you very much. You do great work. And this is my 11th budget with you guys, and I really appreciate what you do. Anybody have any questions for Sil, or something that might be helpful to the public in this process?
And we do get a lot of calls when the bills go out. People complain about their taxes. That's what they're right, and that's what they do all the time. They do have to understand there's fire district budgets they can vote on. There's school district budgets they can go to and comment on, as well as coming here to comment on our budget.
Sylvia, I got one question for you. The question is, you referenced the town's portion of that $81 million being 23.6%,
About 23%, yes.
and local schools, fire, county coming in at 76. Can you comment for us on the trend on those percentages? Are those percentages flat? Are they changing? What's taking place?
The township share has been pretty constant in the mid to low 20s. In the 2 schools, that's pretty been constant. So those are the 3 big ones. The 2 fire districts are smaller. The county and the schools, it's always in that range. It may vary a couple percents higher or lower, but it's always been pretty close to us being in the low 20s.
So we're pretty consistent being less than a quarter of the tax bill that goes out. to our residents?
Yes, and that does include the reserve fund collected taxes, which last year was close to $4 million.
I
Thank you.
think, good question, John. I think a financial officer does a fantastic job of putting together for us consideration the budget book. Township Committee knows my position on some of these things, and one of them is rateable base. And rateable base has not increased this year. So we'll have to take a look at that, see what impact it's going to have on the budget overall before we make some decisions. Inflation plays a role here. S&W never goes down. The cost of operations never goes down. Medical insurance, I show, was one big jump this year. So we'll sequester ourselves Saturday, lock ourselves in, and at the end of the day, see if we can get this down to a reasonable percentage.
Just to comment on the medical insurance, you said there was an increase. Last year, the state health insurance, which the township's no longer in, went up almost 22%, where the townships went up maybe 5 to 8%.
Yeah.
And that goes back to decades ago before I started, Mr. Giorgio,
Self-assured.
Mr. Zambito at the time.
No, that's
were
always
key
proved to be a big
components of
savings.
joining the health insurance fund, which helps keeps our health insurance at a much better rate than any of the state health benefit plans are.
Thank you.
The health insurance fund was started here in Hanover Township.
Yeah.
So we, along with Madison, were the leaders in getting that started.
Now, it's proved to be a significant savings over the years, there's no question about that. But, again, with the cost of operations, like any business, nothing seems to go down, everything seems to go up.
Yeah.
I shared a thought, if I might, Mr. Mayor, with Mr. Farmaska not long ago, after I saw the stats on the debt that the average American now is into on credit card debt. $1.07 trillion in credit card debt, up $50 billion from last year. So we consider all of these factors, it trickles down even to municipalities. So,
And the municipal employee does contribute, almost all the employees contribute about 25% of the health insurance cost on an employee basis.
So just the last point about the budget, here's the last piece on how it actually works for us. Silvio gets the books. Silvio gets the wish list from all the departments. There's a certain piece that we can't touch and we have absolutely no control over. And then Silvio instructs us on what we have to cut in order to get to an acceptable tax increase. And that's why a lot of the times we don't get the amount of roads done that we want to have done. We don't have the upgrades in the vehicles that we would like to have on any given year, so we try to break it up over different years. But what we did do in Hanover Township 3 years ago was we took a specific line item for roads, which is $1.2 million, which is going to allow us to catch up. Of course, the product goes up, sometimes it goes down. When I was on the Board of Ed with Brian, we priced out walking paths behind our schools. They were too much money. 2 years later, the material went down significantly. We did all the schools and still saved money. So that's also fluid on some of those costs. But we do have a line item for our roads, and we're well aware that a lot of our roads are in bad shape. And we will put that front and center this coming Saturday. Does anybody from the public have any questions for Silvio or anybody on the governing body? So I guess you did a pretty good job. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Kristen?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First on the agenda is a letter from Raquel Husen, Board of Health part-time registered environmental health specialist, resigning from her position as of February 22nd, 2024. May I please have a motion to accept her letter of resignation?
A motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resignation accepted. Next on the agenda is the approval of the Township Committee meeting minutes. The first is the reorganization meeting of January 4th. The second is the regular meeting of January 11th. And the final one is the special Township Committee meeting of January 25th. May I have a motion to
So moved.
approve?
Second.
So approved. All in favor? I'm sorry. I forgot an important part. Okay, our next order of business is the public hearing and adoption of ordinance number 1-2024 and 2-2024. Proof of publication that the ordinances and their notices of introduction for both ordinances appeared in full in the January 11th, 2024 issue of the Daily Record in accordance with law. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion to convene the public hearing on both ordinances 1 and 2. May I have a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Is there anyone in chambers wishing to be heard concerning these ordinances? If so, please state your name and address for the record, and which ordinance you would like to be heard about. Hearing none, seeing none, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved?
May I have a second?
Second.
Now on motion for adoption, may I have a motion to adopt?
So
Ordinance
moved.
1 and 2? Ace?
And I want to read these names after we approve it.
Okay. That's the reso?
The mayor's names.
Joe, will that be the reso to do the names? After the reso?
Yes, to the
Is that
resos?
okay?
Okay, good.
Okay. Now, on adoption, may I have roll call? Committeeman Cahill? Committeeman Faramasta? Committeeman Francioli?
Aye.
Committeeman Mahalko?
Yes.
Mayor Gallagher?
Aye.
So adopted. Next on the agenda, I'd like to introduce 2 ordinances this evening, and I would like to read the titles into the record. First is ordinance number 3-2024, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover, amending and supplementing Section 125-4 entitled Recreation Department Fees under Chapter 125 of the Code of the Township entitled Fees, with the inclusion of new 2024 fees related to various recreation, park administration departments programs and activities, and an inclusion of new resident and non-resident pool membership fees for the year 2024 Bee Meadow swimming pool season. The next is ordinance number 4-2024, ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover, amending Chapter 166 Land Use and Development of the Code of the Township of Hanover to amend Section 166-58, filing procedures, developments exempt from review in Article 9, following and reviews procedures in Sections 166-139, required permits and approvals, 166-141, regulations applicable in all zones, and 166-164, O-S, OBRL, OBDS, I2, IB2, IP, and I4 zone districts. I can't read that. Okay. And Article 20-signs. I apologize for that. I would like to state for the record that both ordinances and their respective notices of introduction will be published in full in the Daily Record in accordance with the law. Public hearing is scheduled for March 14th, 2024 at 8 p.m. If any member of the public would like to be heard regarding these ordinances, they will be given the opportunity to do so that evening. Now, may I have a motion to introduce ordinance number 3-2024 and 4-24?
So moved.
Second?
On roll call, ordinance number 3-2023, we'll do 2 separate votes. Is that what you would like me to do?
Well, Mike, it was on the reso for number 40 that you were going to...
Yeah, 40, we didn't get there yet.
We didn't get there yet.
For reso?
Yes.
Okay. On roll call, Committeeman Cahill?
Yes.
Committeeman Faramasta? Committeeman Francioli?
Aye.
Committeeman Mahalko?
Yes.
Mayor Gallagher?
Aye.
Okay, both ordinances are introduced. Our next order of business is the approval of resolutions as a consent agenda. Resolution numbers 37-2024 through 48-2024. Does any member of the governing body have any questions regarding the mentioned resolutions?
Joe, I'd like to comment. Would I comment after the approval?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion?
So moved?
Would you like to recuse yourself from one of
Yeah,
them?
for 40.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And recuse Michael from Resolution 40, for the record. Now we have to pay the bills, John's favorite part.
I'm going to take the floor to Gordon.
Okay.
Motion to pay those bills.
Well, Mayor wants to comment.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
No, I would like to make a comment on the mayor's wellness campaign and the appointments that we're making for this campaign. It's a program that started really with the Recreation Department. It ties nicely into what our mental health initiatives. And what's really exciting about this group is a lot of times it's difficult to find people that want to volunteer. When we began these initiatives years ago, more and more people want to get involved. They want to help, and it's not just in name only. They truly give a lot of themselves to help people that need help or may need help at one point. So I'm just going to read the list of names that are appointed, and we have a gentleman here from Planet Fitness right here in the Whippany section of, no, Cedar Knolls. So Hanover Township, the Cedar Knolls section. I just want to say that, and I'm going to probably pronounce your name wrong, but I was corrected today. It's Joseph Piccini.
It's Brian Piccini.
Piccini.
Brian.
Brian Piccini. So you're the regional manager at Planet Fitness in Cedar Knolls, New Jersey. Well, thank you very much for wanting to help us, and thank you for coming in to be a major part of our town and our family. So it's beautiful. Thank you. Our list is myself, Denise Brennan, Christine Ormasano, Christine Egbert, Carol Giorgio, and Joe, it's going to be an honor working with Carol again. She has quite a track record. We have Tommy Levis, Annie Ma, Howard Olson, Amy Bertrone, and Kathy Whitehead. We have an advisory board of Lucy Deutsch, Q Rim, Joe Samarco, Brian Piccini. Okay, that's correct, right? And then we have a representative from Whippany Park High School to be named later, and we have John Faramasca. So we have quite a group. We're ready to go. We're going to have our first meeting this month, and we already have quite a few things that we're going to be announcing. So thank you very much. That's all the time I needed, guys.
Thank you. Now, can we pay our bills?
Motion to pay those bills. Come on.
Should I read how much they are first? $9,200,320.99. You still want to pay them?
Let's see what to pay the bills.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so approved. Lastly, we have 5 raffle applications for approval. RL 3425, RL 3426, RL 3427, RL 3428, and RL 3429. May I have a motion to pass the raffle applications?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor and the members of the committee, that clears my agenda, and I thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much. Good job, Krista.
Thank you.
I'd like to open up to the floor.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
If anyone from the public would like to address the governing body, please step up to the podium, state your name, address, and you have 4 minutes.
Hello, my name is Susanna. I live at the Sterling Park complex, and I have quite a list of questions, so I'm just going to read them out loud, and then to make the best use of my time. So, hello, Mr. Macera. I just wanted to ask if you had received my emails regarding a Zoom workshop for transit funding that is being hosted by America Walks. And this is for active transit, so for walking and biking initiatives. That will be on February 27th at 2 p.m. And the Smarter Strategies for Safe Travel workshop, hosted by the Voorhees Transportation Center in Rutgers. That is March 22nd, and it's free of charge, but spots are limited. So that is for local policymakers as well as engineers to gain some knowledge on the newest, safest forms, smartest forms of transportation. So that's one of the questions.
I can just answer that. I did receive your email, and I was also notified by some of those organizations of those workshops. I
Okay.
plan attending either myself or someone from my staff.
Okay, great, thank you. I wanted, I'm sorry, I wanted to hear maybe an update on whether the council has considered more or spoken with the sheriff or Mr. Macera on the Slow Sundays initiative to block 1 lane of traffic some Sundays in the summer just for biking and walking, which is something I brought up in the last public comments. And I also wanted to know whether the township had reached out to Avenue in Motion's, previously Trans Options, on any walking or bike safety initiatives. And then my last ask is regarding the roads that are looking to be like repaved this year, and wanting to see if some of the budgeting can be set aside to also add some kind of bike lanes or cycling infrastructure or sidewalk extensions to those roads. So, yes, that's all I had.
So that's it?
Yeah.
Okay, Jared, do you want to take the floor first? Start banging
A
them
little
out?
bit, yeah. The slow Sunday, I don't recall that. I haven't met with the chief. I'm not to discuss that, whether that's something that he would support. You know, we'd have to take a lot into consideration. Obviously, you want to have that slow Sunday, something that you want public to engage in, and you want to focus that on retail sectors. So there's really some more planning that needs to happen on that. And again, I haven't had a chance to really sit down and have sort of like a little workshop on that issue. The trans options, I know that sometimes I not myself am fully in contact with them, but there certainly are a resource that we have in town that we've used in the past for different grant opportunities. So we are in communication with them, but nothing like hot stove on the topic right now with them on any other options. On the road budget, I don't have the list with me off the top of my head about what roads are being resurfaced. Obviously, the goal is really to address some of the pavement surface conditions. When we do our road projects, we do address ADA accessibility. We want to make sure that curb ramps are installed, and we address that. So obviously, that is always cooked into those projects. This year, we did have 2 sidewalk extension projects that we had some gaps that we did. That one was completed on 26 Parsippany Road. And I think that was helpful to a lot of the student population in that area to take a quick check. And we have another one that is, just because of the weather, construction is being delayed to the spring. That was on Horse Hill Road to help some of our group homes in that area access the retail along Hanover Avenue. There's a gap in the sidewalk there that was budgeted and is already contracted for. So we'll see that in the spring. For this year, though, I think just because of the nature of the budget, we did not identify a particular sidewalk project to implement this year. And I know that we will be looking at some trail expansions in the Cedar Mill section of town, whether it may just be conceptual design at this point. But we do have phases 3 and 4 of the B Meadow Park nature trail construction that have been contracted, and construction will start as soon as the weather breaks a little bit. That's much of an update I think I can give at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You have my email if you have any other questions.
Anyone else?
Four minutes, Gary.
Add a 0 to that, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Gary Kaiser, 16 Lynn Terrace, Whippany. I travel Route 10 east from Morris Plains to Ridgedale Avenue quite often. And I knew Parsippany was building a lot of condos up there on Route 10. And I see the building going on and on. So when I was coming down, today as a matter of fact, I was coming down, I made it right on Ridgedale. I'm going to the Cedar Knolls Firehouse. Had a lot going on down there. But it dawned on me, if these vehicles coming out of that complex wants to come down and go westbound, they're coming down 10 to Sylvan Way area, to that jug handle for Sylvan Way. That's, I believe, is going to cause more hardship, more calls for our police and fire department, EMS. Because when you come down and you want to go westbound, you got to cut over another lane of traffic. And if you go down rush hour, you have a backup now with the cars coming around that jug handle. There's going to be a bottleneck there. There's going to be a severe problem. And then we're talking about putting another hotel over that area. It's going to be more traffic for us. And that jug handle, you're going to have cars stopped on 10 to go westbound, especially on your rush hour morning and afternoons. It's going to be a problem there. I think someone should look at that. It's going to be a major problem at that intersection. And if they don't want to go to that intersection and go down to Jefferson Road, you're going to have the same problem. You have to cut over. There was that one lane of traffic to make a left to go westbound. So I don't know if what's happening with Parsippany, that jug handle coming eastbound to cut over to that new complex, they have an entrance ramp to go into the backside of that. Is that part of Troy or is that Hanover? That section. You're gonna have a lot of accidents there.
Gary, I want to jump in real quick regarding that complex, because we've spent a lot of time on that, and I've been in about 7 meetings with John face-to-face with Parsippany, Morris Plains, and Hanover Township. And we had a gentleman's agreement that became much more serious, and now it's a legal agreement, where we spent a lot of time on disallowing traffic to go left on Johnson Road into Malapartis. We also put a serious weight limit on Malapartis to be consistent with Morris Plains. I also want to tell you, this is year 11 on the governing body, and every single study I've seen for every complex said little or no impact to local traffic. So it's our job to do everything we can to find out how they're going to remediate a problem before it even begins. We've had countless conversations about this project. It's very, very big, and it looks like it's going to be bigger than we even thought it was going to be. Our piece in the back of it is simply a hotel. That's going to be just a small portion of this. Jerry, do you have information on that jug handle? Because I've seen quite a bit on it, but John and I were really focused on not decimating the Malapartis area and then kicking up into all our Cedar Knolls neighborhoods. What do you know about that specific area Gary's talking about?
Yeah, just for Gary and the public, yeah, that development, because it was on Route 10 and access from Route 10, it required, permits, access permits from the DOT, traffic reports to the DOT. The DOT eventually approved that, but there was significant change to the circulation regarding that drive-in way, jug handle interchange area. So they did make improvements. I think those improvements are under construction and are required to, there's a trigger point as to how much development occurs on that Parsippany site before, they have to have those improvements completed. And part of the concern for the communities, Morris Plains and Hanover, was that some of that traffic was going to be diverted onto the local street, Malapartis Road, utilizing Johnson. So that's the agreement that Mayor Gallagher was referring to. And we have some controls and some conditions in effect that if we see an impact on those local streets, then Parsippany, in coordination with Hanover and Morris Plains, they can take into effect to kind of limit any impacts to the local roads. But on the highways, that's DOT's jurisdiction.
Yeah, I understand that, and I know they come in and you talk. But when I was traveling out today, going down Ridgedale, the jug handle, the way, Sylvan Way, I'm talking about, that intersection there. Going eastbound, you go past Ridgedale, you make that jug handle coming around, like if you're going to Wayton's. In order to go westbound, you have to cut over that one lane of traffic, and that one white solid line comes almost to the intersection. I think you're going to have a bottleneck. I think we're going to have a lot of maybe fender benders there, which will keep our police busy, or if someone gets hurt. I don't know if that was looked at.
No, I know that the intersection of Route 10 and Ridgedale Avenue is a concern to even the police department. We did recently make some recommendations to the DOT, which they approved, to kind of improve that right turn, that channelized right turn to get onto the extension of Ridgedale Avenue and Sylvan Way. That was a concern. The DOT agreed with our recommendations, so I think those are implemented. And I think that's really more the concern. When you move up to the drive-in way, you have a longer period to make your merge.
Yeah, that's way up, that's way up,
Yeah, I thought
that's
the-
more up on
Right,
10,
That's the one that you were
westbound.
talking about. You're
If you were going down 10,
Yeah,
you want a Silver Way. If you're going to Wegmans,
right.
that's the one I'm talking about. Dryden's up a little
Yeah,
further,
Dryden's
that's
further.
mostly part of Troy.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the main access route to get
But
into.
in order for them to get there, they have to go around, they're gonna have to come out, make a right down
No, I think they
eastbound.
just continue down Route 2.
How they get, there's a barrier there, I don't understand, are we talking the same thing?
Yeah, I think maybe we need to.
I think we're talking two different
Two different
things.
things, yeah.
That's my main concern. They're coming out of that condo, they're gonna have to make a right down eastbound and to go westbound, around that jug handle and go back up. It's gonna be a problem, I think.
John, before we close it out, are we missing something here? Is there any more information you
Yeah, I
have on that?
just want to, there's two issues going on. First issue is there will be a full-service jug handle that will allow you to access that apartment complex that Parsippany has built. It'll be full service. If you're going east, west, you'll be able to get in through that jug handle. That's a major change. So that jug handle will also allow you, if you're at that apartment complex, to go out on it and go under Route 10 and get out onto Dryden. That's the first one. The second one that Gary's talking about, so everybody understands clearly, if a vehicle is heading northbound on Ridgedale Avenue and wants to go right onto 10 going east, they may encounter a vehicle that's trying to go through a jug handle that is servicing the traffic that's flowing on Route 10 going east and say they want to go to Wegmans. So he's saying there's going to be a pinch point there. And Jerry, I think that's something you got to alert State of New Jersey to look into, because that could be a serious snarl.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, John. Thank you, that's
And-
exactly what I'm talking about.
And the point being, Jerry, I want this on record as an official concern, and I'd like you to get back to us on what they say. Not just one phone call or email and a complaint. I want this on record as an official concern that we have. And they've been pretty good with us, but not with this point, Gary, so thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you.
Gary brings up a very critical point here. This thing is a behemoth that's being built over there now. It's an actual metropolitan area within itself. I've always said this, I still say it. The mistake was that they didn't require from the state of New Jersey, the DOT, an XL and decel lane onto Route 10, period. No other access should be given to them, so that the concerns that Jason Carr has in Morris Township, Morris Plains rather, and use of Johnson Road, which is, by the way, this governing body and mayor has been fighting to secure that, don't become an issue. It's big enough to require an egress onto a state highway of that size with an additional decel and XL lane, period. That's my 2 cents, but...
And by the way, Gary, I was being sarcastic when I said that all the reports come back with no impact to local traffic, because I know that a lot of those reports are just to make it seem like, don't worry about it, we have no problem, until we start having problems. That's why we're trying to get in front of a lot of this stuff. We've had a lot of meetings. Little or no impact to local traffic, that's how they all conclude. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not worth the paper it's written on. Anyone else in the public?
Motion closed.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, other business, which is a short report, starting with Brian.
This is going to be the shortest report ever.
Hit it.
I just want to remind everybody, residents of Hanover, that on February 17th, in both District 3, Fire District 3, which is Cedar Knolls, and Fire District 2, which is the Whippany section, they will be holding their elections. As I said, February 17th, between the hours of 2 and 9. District 3 will be held at the Cedar Knolls Firehouse. District 2 will be held at the Whippany Firehouse. In the Cedar Knolls section, we've got 2 full 3-year term seats that are open and 1 unexpired term. So there's 3 people to vote, 3 commissioners to vote for in Cedar Knolls. And then on the District 2 side, there are actually 3 full 3-year term seats that are looking to be filled. So it's going to be interesting. I had 3 on their website. It said 3. But I'll go with 2. There's a few. But, I would encourage, I would encourage everybody to get out and go up on the district's websites. Information is up there, and get out and vote.
Mike?
I'm not going to be that quick. I'll try.
We'll have Joe set the timer like he did.
Yeah, give me the timer. We always got a lot going on, and I want to make sure everybody's informed.
Take your time.
I just want to start with cultural arts. 17th, we have the vote, but on the 18th, we have the Lunar New Year. Here at our Hanover Community Rec Center on Sunday, 1:30, we celebrate the Chinese New Year there. It's always a packed crowd. Come on out. A lot of things going on. A lot of dancing, a lot of music, food, a lot of Asian fashion is going on. So to come on out to that, it's a free event. Also, while we're at it, February 25th, Sunday, there will also be a concert for children-themed concert going on at the rec center also. So keep that in mind. Just a few things with recreation. We had a trip planned for March 4th, the Philadelphia Flower Show, which is sold out already. Again, another one of our trips. As soon as we put them up, they get filled out. We're already talking about springtime, so we got a lot of new things coming up. We're starting to open up the sign-ups for a lot of our events and registrations. One new thing that we have coming on is balloon sculpting. 8-week session beginning in February on Fridays, so you can learn how to make balloon animals. So that's something new. Also, we got returning chair yoga, karate, line dancing, pickleball, Zumba. All this stuff is starting up, getting ready for the spring, so that's been coming soon. Always check out the website. There's always new stuff coming on. Camp registration already begins March 4th. Hometown Heroes is now open also. So if we saw the flags, although they're down at the moment, the flags that have veterans from Hanover Township that are on the posts, we start our next round of Hometown Heroes. Again, check out the website. It's going to be going up soon. Now's the time to register for the next round of flags that are going out. Field permits have been set out. Another thing I want to throw out there too, B Meadow Pool registration is already coming up. March 6th, those are going to be going out. We had to have a small increase in the rates on B Meadow Pool, but we're adding more amenities to the pool. And as everything else, costs have gone up. So we're doing our best to keep the cost down. But the pool, again, just coming off of another popular year, so sign up early. And take advantage, there is also an early registration. You get a little bit of a discount if you register early. You going to mention anything about the wellness Valentine's Day dinner dance?
If you say it, I won't. Go ahead. You're on a roll, Mike. Keep going.
So we got a Valentine's Day dinner dance on Saturday, February 17th at the Ukrainian Center, 7 to 10 o'clock. Who's playing in it? I hear there's a good band playing.
I heard they're really good.
Yeah.
I heard they're really
There'll
good.
be a band playing, there'll be music, there'll be some dancing. It'll be a lot of fun. So come on out. Again, check out the website. You get all the information there, and you can sign it up. That's it for now.
Thank you, Mike. Great work.
Thank you all.
John?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Green Team, in conjunction with the Whippany River Action Committee, which they call themselves WRAC, are planning some big events. April 28th will be a cleanup of Central Park. That's significant. It's a great commitment. Barclays Bank, we thank them for continuing to supporting it in a big way. On May 4th, there'll be an Earth Day celebration. And part of the May 4th Earth Day celebration will be a cleanup of all the trails. Our engineer, Mr. Massera, spoke about the trail system. Well, there's going to be lots of people out there cleaning up those trails, so it's a good thing. Economic Development Advisory Council continues to work on trying to promote our small businesses. They have a shop local directory they're working on. They also are highlighting a program that's geared for small businesses from New Jersey State, where small businesses are eligible for either grants or loans and/or economic website assistance. So check it out, New Jersey Economic Development. From a planning board standpoint, I'm going to share with you what I call good news and bad news. The good news is that tonight we heard the Township Committee affirm the agreement to move forward called the Developers Agreement for the Hanover Town Center, which is really good news. It's going to be a good economic development for our town. The bad news is, and the mayor's going to speak a lot more about this, but you need to understand what's going on here in this state, is that New Jersey State Management of Affordable Housing under Fair Share Housing Act, during its lame duck session, which was at the end of December, demonstrated a lack of inclusiveness or transparency as to what they are trying to do. Unbelievable. Number two, the promise to provide reasonable guidelines to the management of fair share housing was excluded, as written in the New Jersey Planner. And the promise to include the public was also violated. Many people need affordable housing. Hanover Township supports it, but the 60% that are not in low or moderate housing didn't get represented at all. Mayor Gallagher, I'm sure, will share more timely information on this. And if you haven't already done it, please sign up for RAVE. That concludes my remarks.
Thanks, John. Ron?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fair warning. February the 14th is Valentine's Day. Bring home candy or flowers, or don't go home. From the Board of Health, we're pleased to say that all of the issues that we suffered these last several years seem to be very well under control. We're watching respiratory illnesses right now, which seem to be on the rise, but nothing of the strength of COVID that we've just gone through, so we're very pleased over that. And Hanover did very, very well through COVID. Our incidents in COVID were probably one of the lowest in Morris County, so thank everyone for taking the cautions and precautions through those days. Our Hanover Township Stony Brook Farm and Garden is doing very, very well. It's sold out. But if you're interested in having a garden of your own, and I hope you are, you can get a hold of us through Recreation at 428-2465, 428-2465. They will give you more information on how you can have your own garden here in Hanover Township at the Stony Brook Farm. And we hope you do join us. Now, also, if you want to learn more about it, on March the 17th, the 7 o'clock in the evening here at the Community Center, the garden will be holding an open house with our master gardener to discuss your opportunities to join us at the garden and farm. Please note the date, join us there as well. Beyond that, I think we're in very good shape, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. I'm just going to begin, I have some good news here, but I'm just going to begin by the Fair Share Housing law and the latest law, and it's going to go into effect Monday, according to my sources. It came out of committee today. But Hanover Township had a very strong response to this proposal, and I'm very proud to say that Joe Giorgio, Fred, and I spent quite a bit of time on this over the last 2 days. Our comment and our complete piece was read into the minutes at the Assembly today on the floor. Newsbreak picked it up, NewJersey.com picked it up, and I'm very happy to say that Hanover Township is going to fight as hard as we can for it to be fair, and fair to us, because these obligations are not fair to many of us, and it wasn't done properly according to many of us, and it's going to be a real heavy lift. But I want you to know, as your elected officials, we get it. We're not just talking the talk, we're fighting very hard. I'm one of 6 mayors that's going to be on a subcommittee for the county that's going to be working statewide to talk about true fairness. And we do understand, and everybody says the same thing, we understand, Gary, our first responders, our water, our roads, our schools. The list is clear, and it was in my comments that were read on the floor today. So, round 4, the battle officially began today, and your representatives are going to fight, and we're going to fight smart. And we're going to keep you guys in the loop on everything we do. And as far as I'm concerned, and to my knowledge, and we interact with a lot of people, our governing body was the only one that had a full fair share housing report monthly from Fred Samarow on where we are and where we think we're going to go. We're going to bring back that section of our meetings to keep the public informed on where we are and how this is going to adversely affect us. So much, much more to come, but please go to our website, hanovertownship.com, and read the comments that were read out loud today on the floor in the assembly, and that's us representing you. Now, on a plus side of things, Friday nights at Menon Arena, Law Enforcement Night, March 15th. Hanover Township PD is front and center. It's an incredible night with the Sheriff's Department, and right now we have 11 police departments coming. It's a great opportunity for our families to meet and greet all of our local heroes, and I'm going to quote Chief Roddy right now, and I will quote this for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, people only meet their first responders on their worst day. We work very hard with the 200 Club, the Sheriff's Department, and our local PD to have our families interact with our first responders on a very good day. So if anybody's available, March 15th, Menon Arena, it's going to be an incredible event for everybody, young kids and us big older kids. It's really a lot of fun. The other thing I want to say about Planet Fitness is our headquarters for the New Jersey Coalition for Education and Positive Choices is the Jets Training Facility in Florham Park. But Marcus graciously invited us to have Planet Fitness our headquarters. The partnership that we already have is incredible. We have Park Hockey that's going to have meetings in that building, and then when they break loose, they're all going to get to train. There's programs that they have that I haven't heard another gym have in place yet, and they're going to probably copy you guys. From the end of the school year to the beginning of the school year, students can train for free. That's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal. So us working closely with Planet, we're going to bring all of those programs to us and share them with all our residents. And the Mayor's Wellness Campaign is part of recreation. So you guys are now part of our recreation. It's a beautiful thing, and maybe it's not going to be that beautiful a thing, but we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to benefit a lot of people, and a lot of people that need the help. You know, it all comes down to mental health and wellness, so that's a beautiful thing, and thank you. And the last thing I'll say about the grand opening is we did the mental health symposium. And Planet Fitness, the senior vice president of marketing, and Marcus got back to us and said that's what they're about. So we went to the ribbon cutting, and we stood in the order that we sat on the dais to do our presentation for the mental health. So we, in total, had 51 people at that ribbon cutting. They said it's the biggest one that they've done in the country. So we're doing something right in Marsh County, in this part of New Jersey, and we're only going to build on it. That's all I have for you guys tonight, and that's all I have for the public, so thank you very much. Motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, everybody. Oh,
Don't forget that.
we still have some more business, we still have some more business in conference in May.
What's up, Gary?
You got my note?
I tried, I was trying to.